right, 21 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. 1979 or so, I was playing guitar in a duo in a lounge on Long Island, New York. And I was not really a fan of country music. I really hadn't been exposed to any country music. But anyway, I was playing in this lounge. And staying in the hotel was this rugby team from England, I guess. And they were there, not to play rugby, but to be in a commercial. They were asked to be the guy. They were good-looking young guys, you know, and so they were the actors in a commercial that was being made. And the commercial took like 2 weeks to make, so we saw these guys every night. And they wanted to hear country music, American country music. And so they would put money into the jukebox, and they would play these songs that I had never heard before. So I played music for 40 minutes, and then the jukebox would come on for 20. So it was 40-20. That's how that worked, okay? So for those 20 minutes, I was hearing these songs I hadn't really become familiar with. And one of the artists that stood out for me was Willie Nelson. And it was my first exposure to Willie Nelson, and I just said, oh my gosh, I got to get this album. And I think it was the one where he covered some classics like Blue Sky.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Oh my gosh. And all of a sudden I discovered this guy, and not only was he, I just loved everything about him, the way he wrote, the way he sang, his personality, and that was 1979. Now it's 2017, so 38 years later? Am I doing the math right? He's coming to town. Did you know this? He's going to be at the Sharon on October 18th.
Nice.
I can't give you any tickets. It's sold out, and that's not no surprise. But I do have a wonderful book to tell you about. It's called Willie Nelson, American Icon. It is written by Andrew Vaughan, and if you're looking at the streaming video, I have the cover on the video. Andrew Vaughan, good morning, sir. Andrew is, he's a music journalist. He contributes to Billboard magazine, the London Times, Music Week, Mojo, Q, The Guardian, etc. And his book is called Willie Nelson, American Icon. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. You work for Gibson, the guitar company?
I do.
Wow. So are you a guitar player?
I dabble. I wouldn't call myself a guitar player because, you know, everyone says that because you never know how good everyone else is. It all depends on how good the others are.
That's true. That is true too. So tell me about the book. How did this come into being? How did you do this one?
Well, this was really, I think it was time that there was a book like this celebrating and paying tribute to Willie Nelson. I had done a couple of similar books in the past. So last year I did one on Garth Brooks, which was a similar approach. It was an illustrated story, and I've done one before that on the Eagles. So Willie Nelson was always in my mind because, you know, he is, as the title says, an icon. I mean, and there wasn't a book like this. There's lots of books telling his story, but there wasn't one that's told the story in the context of the visuals and the package that we've done, where you can actually see America in the 1930s. You can see Willie in the 1960s and how different he was to the Willie of the 1970s. Yeah. And the way it all comes together, I think works really, really well to pay tribute and to celebrate a life of literally a unique, and that word is used far too much these days, but a unique character. There's no one like Willie Nelson. I mean, there really isn't. I can't think of anyone that you can compare him to.
No, you're right. And that is an interesting thing. But his music is still very good. A lot of times unique doesn't mean good, but in this case it does. I mean, I think he's awesome.
Well, he is. And he's had ups and downs. He's had periods where, you know, he's had lots of hits, and he's had periods where he hasn't. But even in the bad times, he's written good songs. I mean, he is a good songwriter. Whether those songs fit the music of the time or not depends on all sorts of factors. But he's always been a good songwriter. Even when he wasn't selling records as an artist, he was selling records he was making money as a songwriter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's been a gift he has.
Yeah.
And he seems to be able to write in different genres as well.
I find his family history fascinating since he was young. You are a most excellent writer, and you can convey very visual scenes with your words in as little words as possible.
Well, thank you. I mean, that was probably the biggest challenge with the book was, what do you put in, what do you leave out? How can you tell his story as succinctly as possible because he's such a long life. He's done so many things. So it was a matter of being to the point and trying to express it minimally as best you can. But it's a great story. I mean, it's an easy story to tell because it's such a wonderful story. I mean, as you said, his early days were tough. You know, he was abandoned by his parents, for goodness sake, as a little boy.
I was so surprised.
That cannot have been easy. Yeah.
What about his story did you find that contradicts popular, like, folklore about him? Is there, and I'm not trying to throw you a curveball, but I mean, is there anything? For example, does he really have this marijuana bust? I mean, what is the real truth about him? And was there anything specifically that you thought, oh my gosh, I thought this was true, but here's the real truth?
No, I would say, unlike most people, where there's a public image and then there's you meet them and there's a kind of a different side to them. I think the thing that's true with him is that he is what he is. What you think Willie Nelson is what he is. He does his own thing. He lives his own life. He doesn't really care what people think about him. He puts his money and his fame and his personality behind causes he believes in. They're not causes that are going to win him fans, especially with his fan base. Sometimes he goes out on a limb. Other times he supports people that mean something to him, his life personally, like supporting the farmers, because he came from a farming community and he's close to that world.
Was he friends with...
The one thing I'd say about him is... Go on. I'm sorry, go on.
Well, I just wanted to bring up Tom Petty real quickly. Were they friends? Because I know Tom Petty did the Farm Aid thing also.
I wouldn't say they were friends. Willie has never had really deep friendships with people. He works with lots of people. He's very friendly with lots of people, but very few people have got close to him. I think Johnny Cash got close to him. I think Waylon got close to him. But he's quite guarded as well as anything else. He's a guarded person. He keeps himself to... He's very private. Even though he's on the road all the time, he's still quite private. Yeah. And he's worked with all sorts of people, but I don't think him and Tom were especially close, no.
Andrew, I wish we had more time. I am loving the conversation. You have put together a wonderful book. You have done Willie Nelson right with this one. For the Willie Nelson fans, you're going to love this one. I found it on Amazon with 20 seconds left to go. Andrew, do you have a website you can direct us to?
I wish I did, but Amazon's as good as any. Amazon.
All right. Again, look for Willie Nelson, American Idol. Otherwise, you're going to see a whole load of books about Willie Nelson. Just put Willie Nelson, American Idol. Andrew Vaughan, thank you.
American Icon.
I'm sorry, Icon, yes.
Icon.
Not
Icon,
Idol.
yeah,
Thank you.
The other one's a pop show.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. 23 guns are recovered from the hotel room where Stephen Paddock fired from above at people at a country music show in Las Vegas Sunday night. Another 19 and explosives are found in one of his homes.
Authorities say he had 10 suitcases. He booked the room starting September 28th. How he got those guns